I get the opportunity to return to the active site in East Texas, which in my book Impossible Visits I've called Texas Number 2. The habituator allows me to park at the far corner of her backyard, quite near to the spot where 2.5 years ago I obtained thermal footage of a Sasquatch crouched behind a woodpile, observing us. The tree in this footage is roughly 6 inches wide, and we can see the hand flexing. And below and to the left, 2 large eyes peeking out near to the ground, their comparative warmth causing them to stand out for the thermal camera. Today I try a comparison crouch. Instead of a chilly November evening, though, it's now a sweltering June afternoon, the ambient air temperature flattening out the heat contrast so that my eyes do not show up brightly, as did the Sasquatches. Nor does the tree itself. And I don't try to reconstruct the former woodpile. My aim here is just to compare our head sizes using the known scale of this tree. I place my own left ear about as far from that tree as the tree is wide, because this appears to have been the situation in the original shot. Besides the fact that my head is shaped entirely differently from the Sasquatch's head, box-like or oval as opposed to extremely thick and broad, it is also apparent that my own head is no wider than the tree trunk. If anything, it's a little narrower. In the case of the Sasquatch, the outermost borders of the eye sockets seem nearly as far apart as the tree is wide. I can stick my arm out past the right edge of the tree, and this is why it's not possible to compare our arm lengths. Mine is straight. The larger figure's elbow is probably bent to some unknown degree out behind the scene. I spend the night in the rental car sleeping soundly. The audio file reveals lots of thunks and taps, probably against the outbuildings and possibly against the car itself. The Sasquatch is a percussive species. Here's a small sampling. I'm reminded of a sound I recorded here on my very first visit. In the morning, I find a number of dusty smudges and dabs on the back of the car. And then I come across these curious fingerprints. The first thing that strikes me is that the fingers must have been uniformly covered in dirt, because my own index finger leaves no such residue at all. Also, they are quite a bit smaller than my own fingers, so this could have been a juvenile investigating me while I slept. What I find most fascinating are these striations here, not present in any human prints I have seen or can now find through research. But that's not all. To the left of these fingerprints, I find 3 further dirty impressions, the middle of which displaying a clear whorl. One more point. The prints remained perfectly intact over 75 highway miles back to the airport that day, which leads me to conclude that they were composed not only of dust or dirt, but of oil as well.